Hello, this is OverlordBou back with another ship review video, and today we'll be looking at the new Tier 10 Royal Navy BB, the St. Vincent. Now the St. Vincent will be going into early access this patch, coming on the 13th or the 14th roughly. To obtain her, you must buy all 70 of the loot crates for 1k doubloons each, and then spend another 20k doubloons for the actual ship. This comes out to about 90,000 doubloons, or roughly $360. Needless to say, I do not recommend this. This is a tech tree ship, so there's no need to pay money for it to get it. So again, do not spend money to get this, please. Just wait for it to come out of early access. Now, moving on, I'll be showcasing the ship, and at the end, I'll be going over my thoughts on the ship. Now, let's talk about the recommended builds for it. Now, I actually have two builds to go over. One is a standard battleship tank build, and the other is a more unique build. Now, the first build we'll be going over is going to be the normal Royal Navy build. Showing on the top right is a normal BB build, safe but an effective build. Now, you pretty much build this as a standard tank build for the battleship, of course. As you can see, the skills and then the modules showing on the top right. Now, the next build I'll be recommending is going to be the Furious build, which is more recommended for experienced players. You're going to be taking away from your tank ability, but it makes it where you're pretty much able to put out more damage in the end. So it's up to you on which one you want to do. Personal preference, just letting you know. So pretty much the Furious build is like the incomparable. The St. Vincent doesn't mind fires due to her super heal. By taking Furious and heavy AP, she can significantly increase her firepower for a minor hit to her survivability. Now let's move on to the armor and survivability. The ship has 79,400 HP. Now the armor will be shown on the top right. The ship has a 25mm bow and stern with a 40mm deck with a 23% torpedo protection. It does have an above water citadel. Now, it does have a fairly weak armor scheme due to her vulnerable citadel and 25mm bow and stern armor. Combined with the low HP pool, the St. Vincent dies rather easily under sustained fire, even with a super heal. Instead, players must rely on her mobility and positional advantage and avoid prolonged direct fights against other battleships. Now, let's move on to the primary guns. Now, the primary guns, there's 3 triple 457mm/45 guns, 2 front and 1 in mid. The range of the gun's base is 20.5 kilometers with a 30-second base reload. Now, these guns have a 1.6 Sigma with a Battlecruiser dispersion. Now, the HE shell damage is 7,100 with a 76mm HE pen, and they have a 63% fire chance. Note the normal 1/6 HP pen and not the 1/4. Now for the AP shell, you have the 14,900 damage with a 31mm overmatch. Now the normal ricochet angles, and it has a 0.015 fuse time. It has a short fuse. Now the turret angles can fire broadside 30 degrees off of the bow and stern. It cannot fire rear because whoever designed the ship was drunk. Now it has the same guns as the Thunderer, uses Battlecruiser dispersion, but with notably lower Sigma. It has the 457mm AP overmatch, which is most cruiser armor. The HE is good with a high fire chance, but is 13% weaker than the Thunderer per individual shell. Now, unusual turret arrangements, very restrictive rear firing arcs as well for the ship. Now, the dispersion is on the top right. Now, the St. Vincent's guns are very similar to the Thunderer, trading accuracy with worse HE, reload time, and awkward turret angles for just one extra gun. While this results in worse performance overall, her AP remains just as deadly. With overmatch and a short fuse, her AP is extremely deadly against unfortunate cruisers, dealing heavy damage in most situations. HE is still effective against BBs and can easily light fires due to her insane 63% fire chance. Now, enemy ships would be wary whenever St. Vincent's guns are trained on them. Now let's move on to the secondary armament. The secondary armament is 8 twin 152mm/50 guns with 10 twin 113 millimeters slash 45. Now the 152 millimeter twin secondaries do 2,150 HE damage with a 12-second reload and a 25 millimeter pin, while the 113 millimeter 10 twin guns have 1,700 HE damage with a 5-second reload and a 19 millimeter pen. Now these have a base range of 7.3 kilometers. When you build them all the way, it goes to 11 kilometers max range. And they also get the normal battleship secondary accuracy. Like most BBs, it has a poor secondary performance. Don't invest into the secondaries. Use your tactical nuke torpedoes instead, which I'll be going over now. You do get 2 single 622 millimeter torpedoes with a 10 kilometer range, and they do 29,367 damage. Whew. They have a 45-second reload and have a knot speed of 69 knots. Now these do fire to the front of the ship. Now when these fire off the front of the ship, since you can aim these off of the ship at certain angles, since these are fixed torpedoes, they have a really weird mechanism that happens. Pretty much wherever you aim it, the torpedo will initially try to turn in that direction, and then it'll like do like a little zigzag sometimes, try to make sure it's going the right direction, then it'll head in the direction where you launch it. So you can have these really memey moments with the torpedoes, whenever you'll see in different videos and such, where like the torpedo will just do a zigzag and such, trying to go to the target. So it's a pretty funny addition to the line that you'll be noticing in different videos or different areas. But I just wanted to take note of that, because it's just something really interesting with this line, because you actually have to see that the torpedo tubes, it's actually down in the hull, like below the water line is where the torpedoes are. It's actually really interesting. I just wanted to add that there. And the St. Vincent's nuclear torpedo is very effective when rushing enemies at close range. Close quarters. In most engagements, she can fire 2 torpedoes at the start and have them reload to fire again at point blank. A niche weapon, but a very interesting one to be sure. Let's move on to the AA defense. You get 4 inner / 1 outer for the flat clouds. For the far DPS, continuous damage is 102. The mid is 697, with the near being 119. Sorry, 199 DPS, my bad. It has surprisingly good anti-air thanks to her DFAA, though mainly concentrated at a mid-range. She is still vulnerable to CV attacks, but at least will make the enemy CV pay for it in planes. Now let's move on to the anti-submarine airstrikes. Now you get 3 airstrikes with 2 depth charges per strike. Now the bomb damage is 2,700 with an airstrike range of 11 kilometers with a reload time of 35 seconds. You get the same depth charges as a Conqueror. Her 3 charges give her a greater chance of hitting subs, letting other players follow up on hitting the oil spill. Though she can strike more times, each individual strike does less damage. Still, she is one of the more versatile battleships regarding anti-submarine airstrikes. Now let's move on to the maneuverability. Now for the maneuverability, you get a max speed of 32.5 knots base, and with the speed boost, it goes to 37.5. And if you have the speed boost and brisk, it goes to 40 knots. Whew. Now with a turning radius of 970 meters with a rudder shift time of 17 seconds, you also get the improved acceleration similar to the Royal Navy DDs and light cruisers. Now for the tier 10s, it is the 3rd fastest battleship at her tier, second to the Bourgogne and incomparable. Faster than the average rudder shift time, slightly than average larger turning radius, fastest acceleration among BBs due to her RN acceleration and speed boost compared to the incomparable. Now St. Vincent is a very fast battle cruiser, giving her excellent mobility despite her mediocre turning radius. She can use her superior speed and good concealment to reposition faster and more effectively than almost every other BB except the incomparable and the Bourgogne. Now for the concealment, you get a base range of 5.8 kilometers C with 11.1 kilometer air. Now if you build into the concealment, you go to 12.8 kilometers C with a 9 kilometer air. Now, has a fairly stealthy overall, but surprisingly bad compared to the other Royal Navy battleships. Still, combined with her high speed, St. Vincent can get into a lot of unique positions few other BBs can match. Now let's move on to the consumables. For the consumables, you get a standard BB DCP with a 15-second immunity period and 80-second reload. Now you do get a super heal party, which heals 2% of damage for 20 seconds with a 40% base. You do get 3 charges base as well. The standard engine boost is 8% max speed for 120 seconds with a 120-second reload, and you do get 3 charges. Now with the standard DFAA, you get plus 50% continuous DPS, plus 300% flak AA damage with a 40-second active time and an 80-second reload time, and you do get 3 charges. Now with all the information out of the way, we're gonna be going over my pretty much like my overall performance or my opinions of the ship pretty much. Now, I would say the ship is a medium through high skill floor with a high skill ceiling. St. Vincent is the last and the most powerful tech tree ship in the Royal Navy Battlecruiser line. Like her predecessors, the St. Vincent boasts a very high top speed and powerful armament at the cost of her weak armor. She'll punch hard and fast, especially against cruisers due to her good accuracy. Against BBs, the Vincent needs to be more careful as her 25mm armor bow/stern and vulnerable citadel puts her at a significant disadvantage. St. Vincent is best played as a mobile BB, kind of similar to the French BB line, staying between the 12km to 17km range for the optimum effectiveness. Flanking the enemy is definitely her specialty. Her high top speed and respectable concealment, letting her get to positions faster than almost every other battleship. Once there, her super heal is usually enough to hold off a few ships, but she can quickly retreat if she comes under heavy focus fire. At close range, she has too many nuclear torpedoes at her as a trump card, dealing heavy damage to any target they hit. While an interesting gimmick, she will still take heavy damage due to her 25mm bow, so rushing the enemy is still generally not a good idea. Overall, the St. Vincent provides an interesting take on flanking BB archetype. While she is weak in head-on engagements, Vincent is amazingly effective at outpositioning the enemy, potentially creating openings in the enemy formation. Players who can create and exploit these openings will be very effective in both this ship and the rest of the Battlecruiser line. Now, I would say for randoms, the ship is about above average/good. She is strong against cruisers thanks to the 30mm overmatch and her high speed. However, she is fragile for a BB and requires good player situational awareness to keep her alive into the late game. Still, she has potential due to her powerful AP and mostly accurate guns. Now for ranked, I would say mediocre. Her lack of durability and effectiveness against other BBs is a concern despite her great AP. Now for clan battles, it's unlikely to see significant use since Incomparable and Burgoyne are more effective as a as a super mobile BB. Now again, as the meta you can see right now in clan battles, pretty much Kremlin, Ohio are pretty much like the meta battleships at this point. Prusian as well. So trying to see like a more mobile battleship probably isn't going to be put in. Now again, those are my final thoughts for the St. Vincent. Again, I do not recommend you pay any money to get this ship. Just putting that out there. Do not get any of the loot crates. It's not worth it. You can get this ship a few months down the line when it gets out of early access. Probably 2 months is usually what's going to be. So probably right now it's July, so August, September. So probably in September is when it'll be out, so you can get it then. But again, that is going to be it for the day. If you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But this is OverlordBou, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Oh, big stretch, dude. Oh, big stretch, yeah.